0.
Today, Yassir about his experience with the Bots app, the incredible story of Dogecoin, and a conversation with Prins Constantijn van Oranje-Nassau. My name is Koen Scholbers and this is Bots TV. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Bots TV live from the studios in Haarlem, the Netherlands. Now, before we start, I do like to say that everything we talk about in today's episode is not financial advice. Make sure to always do your own research. Now, Herbert, you're always in the show today again. How are you doing?
I'm fine. The weather is okay. On the other hand, Bitcoin is in some kind of free fall the last couple of days. Ether was yesterday on an all-time high, so that's good news. So it's a mixed bag. It's interesting to say the least.
Ethereum is doing very well against Bitcoin.
Yes, sir.
However, when Bitcoin drops this hard, all the other coins go with it, right? So.
And they do double digits. So let's brace ourselves and hope for the best.
Exactly. Make sure your seatbelts are on. And also for today's episode, now this is the schedule. This is the things we're going to cope with in today's episode. So first, we're going to kick things off with Bots News. What has happened in the past week? Then we will continue in Bots League with a conversation with Arthur to give us more updates about the Bots League. Then in Bots Topic, we have a very special guest. It's no one else than Prins Constantijn van Oranje-Nassau. And we will finish things off with Bots users speaking to Yassir Ouali. And he is a user of the Bots app and we'll talk about his experiences. Now, let's start with Bots News. First, crypto features on the Venmo app. Now, PayPal-owned mobile payment service Venmo has introduced crypto services on its app. Venmo users can now buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrencies with as low as $1. The supported cryptocurrencies on the Venmo app include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. The new feature will also provide in-app guides to help users learn more about the crypto market, which I think, especially in today's times, Herbert, is very useful. We are in a bull market, but currently in a downtrend. Many people might panic, and then guides are very useful.
Don't panic.
DM Association launching US dollar-pegged stablecoin. DM Association is in talks with the Swiss financial regulators to secure a payment license. After the successful rebranding from Libra Association to DM Association, the Facebook Inc.-backed payment system has announced plans to launch a single stablecoin pegged to the US dollar later this year. Initially, Facebook experienced notable resistance to the Libra project from global regulators due to its huge market dominance. Facebook, obviously. The social media giant is said to report over 2 billion active users per month, hereby making its payment system attract regulators' attention. Of course, when Facebook is doing something, it won't go unnoticed, right? Everyone
exactly. When it was called Libra, it was going to be a coin pegged to a basket of various international currencies, like the dollar, the euro, the Japanese yen, and a couple others. Now it's going to be called DM, and it will be pegged only to the dollar, and it will be used only in the United States. And that will be a lot easier to digest for the financial authorities, because no Turkish people or Zimbabwean people or Venezuelan people will be able to dump their own national coin for the Facebook coin.
Yeah, basically any country outside of the US.
That's right. And so the destabilizing effect of that will be gone and it will be a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, so is that beneficial for the people in the US? That currently DM is only focused on the US markets connected to the dollar?
Well, it probably make it easier for them to do online purchases. Otherwise, I don't think they will care very much, because it will be a digital dollar instead of the regular dollar. So who cares?
Yeah.
As far as comparison to the Bitcoin is concerned, a digital dollar from Facebook will not be an alternative to Bitcoin for people who prefer Bitcoin to the dollar. So it won't be any competition to cryptocurrency.
But that is interesting, because in all the other countries, they will not provide DM, right? They will not provide the currency that is pegged, at least now, indeed, pegged to the US dollar. But people living in those countries can, of course, still invest their money in any other coin out there.
Yeah, they can. And perhaps Facebook will introduce other coins later on. So instead of one world Libra, there will probably be various national DMs. Yeah. So maybe a DM euro and such. So it will be quite complicated, but still interesting.
Well, talking about national DMs, if that ain't the third news item of today, UK considers new digital currency named Britcoin out of all choices. The British finance minister told the Bank of England to look at a case for a new Britcoin, a central bank-backed digital currency. In response, the Bank of England and the Treasury said that they will work together to assess the benefits of a central bank digital currency now that cash payments are generally on the decline, partly because of the COVID pandemic, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then pumping the Dogecoin. Now, if you are very involved in the cryptocurrency industry, you've probably heard about Dogecoin at least somewhere on Twitter or anywhere else, because it's been pumping and currently going down again. Dogecoin fans are attempting to turn the celebrations on 420 into Doge Day. Supporters are hoping to see the crypto coin hit $1 just 1 week after it was valued at just 9 cents. It has been valued at half a cent for most of its 7-year history. The Dogecoin, which started as a meme currency and maybe still is, even though what's happening at the moment, already hit some milestones that didn't seem possible at the beginning. However, its price plunged on Wednesday morning, currently closed at around 25 cents. So it went up to, I believe, 45 cents, and now it's down to around 25 cents. And even today, it hit 15 cents, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very, very volatile asset.
That's right.
But Dogecoin, what do you make of it?
Well, it's a strange story. It's a bit like the GameStop story. People are pumping it. People are buying it at a high price, don't care they may lose money because they are fanboys and fangirls. And they want to reach this goal of $1 for a Dogecoin and one Dogecoin for $1. If that's the goal and they reach that goal, everybody will be happy, even if they lose money, because they're fans.
Yeah, always invest, of course, with what you can lose as well, especially in these type of scenarios.
Especially in this case, yeah. So it's a totally irrational thing, and has nothing to do with investing at all, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, what are the benefits? Like, actually, Dogecoin, there's one benefit to Dogecoin.
Yes, it's totally useless. It's designed to be useless, right? But there's one store, Newegg. It's an online electronic store where you can pay now with Dogecoin. So if people have Dogecoin and they want to spend it, they can do it there and no place else.
Yeah, make sure that if you pay with Dogecoin, the
do
price
it when
is
it's
high.
Up high. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But that's about it for the use case. But I think that Doge by itself it's been a meme for so many years. Doge, the dog face,
and even more so now because of Elon Musk, right?
Exactly. Elon Musk is a big fan of Doge. Doge to the moon, of course, and many people jumping on the hype train. Let's say willing to see Doge hitting $1 before like a big crash will happen,
and having fun doing it.
Having fun doing it. But if you can lose a couple of euros, dollars, yen, whatever it is, and you want to support the cause, let's say, then why not?
Play along.
Play alone. Yeah. Exactly. Now, let's continue with the Bots League. Yes, and in today's episode of Bots TV, talking about the Bots League, we will have a conversation with Arthur, of course. Arthur, how are you doing?
Very good. You? Yourself?
Yes, we are doing very well. We are going to have a little peek at the graphic of the league, I believe. Yes, there we go. So on the first place, actually back from where they used to be, Hot BB King loves BTC. They used to be at the top already very early on in the competition. Then they went down, but they're back at the top. On the second place, we have Pennywise. And on the third place, we have Team Cutter. Now, there's, of course, many statistics. The percentages look very nice. I mean, BB King loves BTC 150%, basically. And number 10, Mild Mama, 25.12%. Not bad in those couple of weeks standings of today, but we started, of course, earlier this year. Now, Arthur, what do you make of the bots league? How is it going?
Well, it's actually going pretty well. It's very interesting to see that we didn't really filter the bots that came into the league. And what you can see that the distribution of like the profitable versus the negative trading bots is not, well, it's around 50-50, which obviously is a lot worse than we do have the real bots in the bot store. So it's very interesting to see that what happens when you let these bots go and the bot creators go and just put anything on the platform, basically. Because even last time around, when we did the rankings, we already had a couple bots drop out. And same thing goes now. We also had a couple bots from, obviously, they were not in the top ranking, so they also dropped out of the league.
Now the figures look very nice, but they don't tell us right now what has happened for the past week, when Bitcoin has been tanking and a couple of altcoins have done the same. So can you tell us how the bots are doing right now during this little Bitcoin crash?
Yeah. So the leaderboard, as you have, was updated 2 days ago. We already had some bearish action over the weekend, and as is to be expected with any trading algorithm, you're going to lose some money in crashes. That is inevitable. It's highly unlikely that any algorithm trader would be able to stay on the market 100% perfectly every time. So it's interesting to see that they are losing a little bit of money, but they're outperforming the market still a lot. And outperformance doesn't have to be that Bitcoin does 100 and you do 200%. It can also mean Bitcoin dumps 50% and your algorithm only trades down 5 or 10%. And it's interesting that for the competitors that are higher in the ranking, you see that when Bitcoin drops 10%, they don't drop 10%, but it might drop 2 or 3 or 4%. And that really saves your portfolio of the long term, which is obviously what we're trying to achieve, to outperform the market by a lot over the long term.
Yeah, sell high, buy low, right? That's what we want.
Okay, now I've been looking at the rankings, and something strikes me. Compared to one ranking that I saved from 6 weeks ago, actually all bots have been gaining, so that's fine. And one jumps out, and that's Qatar. Well, that's one team, right? Qatar is one team, and they have 2 bots in the league. They went from ranking 21 and 29 to ranking 3 and 13. That's spectacular. What's going on with them?
Well, they're just trading very well. As you might know, what they've been saying for the past couple of weeks or so, I would say that it's alt season, which is very nice. And those bots trade on the altcoins, and they've been seeing quite a lot more price action than Bitcoin has, because Bitcoin has been flat. I mean, it's down maybe 3 or 4% for the month, so that's relatively unspectacular. And this is when the benefit comes in of trading not only with bots that do Bitcoin or Ethereum, for instance, but also put in your portfolio a healthy distribution of altcoin trading bots as well, because it just spreads out the risks and means also that when Bitcoin is flat, it doesn't mean the rest of the market is flat. It's like saying the S&P is flat, so nothing is happening. That's absolutely not true. Any stock can jump 10 or 20% overnight, but the S&P 500 is still flat.
And Arthur, what team impressed you the most so far in those couple of weeks the Bots League is active?
Well, honestly, I was quite impressed by Team Cutter's rise to the top. It was quite a meteoric one, so that was very cool to see. And you see that the current bot creator, for instance, that we have, Boost and Alpha, is all about consistency, trading over longer term, very consistent, going up. And that's very interesting to see versus a contrast from Team to the Moon, which with Hot BB King Loves Bitcoin is full on, very aggressive, and jumps in quickly to try to make the highest returns. But they take a lot more risk, and it's very interesting to see the differences in terms of performance during harder times, easier times, because what we became Love BTC has been above 100% for quite some time now. But because of the volatile conditions, it hasn't been growing as fast as it did in the beginning.
Well, Arthur, thank you for your insights about the Bots League and, of course, your opinion about the team as well. Like Herbert said, Team Qatar is doing amazing business, and hopefully they can continue it till next week, because next week are the finals, right? So we will see who's going to be the top 3 at that moment. Arthur, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
So let's continue with our special guest during today's episode of Bots TV. And our special guest is very well known in the industry of the Netherlands, the innovation industry, the fintech industry. It is Prins Constantijn van Oranje-Nassau. Prins Constantijn, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, great to have you here. And again, thank you for your time. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
So once again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And how are you doing today? I'm not sure.
Can he hear us?
Can you hear us?
No, I think there was a no. There's a. I heard you when you were speaking preliminary before in the program, but now there seems to be a certain delay.
Okay, let's test it right. Oh, I believe I can hear myself just now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, great. Now, first of all, how are you doing today?
Yeah, it's great. Nice weather. Weekend is coming up, so I'm doing fine. You?
Absolutely. We're having a blast during today's episode of Bots TV. And again, glad you were able to make some time for us. Now, you've been an envoy at TechLeap for a pretty long period. And talking about TechLeap, it's all about startups and helping startups. What are some of the goals of TechLeap, and how does TechLeap try to achieve these goals with these startups?
So just to correct, we're mostly focused on scale-ups because we've seen, so before we had a program called Startup Delta, and we've seen that most of the issues arise really at the scaling phase of companies. So, and there are a lot of programs that support startups as they start and grow, but not that many programs that help them really scale, especially not scale internationally. But the goals of TechLeap have been, say, the overall goal is to make the Netherlands the best startup ecosystem in Europe. And then we have goals on capital to raise capital tenfold on the baseline of 2019, which would be something like 10 billion in total capital available. And then the accessibility of talent as well that we need to increase, because we now have about 60 days that vacancies are unfilled in the Netherlands for critical ICT roles, bring that down to 20%. So we have a number of indicators on all of these objectives.
Yeah, keep tracking those indicators. Yeah.
About a year ago, you fought for a bigger budget at TechLeap. You got your way. You got about 50 million extra. What was that money spent on?
So it's just to keep things in perspective. It's 4 years. We have 35 million for 4 years, and that's to fulfill that objective. So to make sure the Netherlands is the best place to start, grow, and internationalize your business.
Yeah, sure. But what exactly is being done with that money?
So in part, we have a number of programs, like the RISE program, where we are supporting scale-ups in their scaling phase. We have a Compass program where we support companies as they internationalize. We've, for instance, stepped in during the Corona crisis to offer Corona credits, the bridge credits, which we've developed with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and our regional development funds. And we built the portal. So we basically step in where we think we can really add value to improve the startup ecosystem in the Netherlands.
And Constantijn, you just mentioned the RISE program. Now, Bots is part of the RISE program. Could you elaborate a little bit more about what the program consists of?
Yeah, happy to do so. So we found that supporting an ecosystem or building an ecosystem, you can spend a lot of time and energy on the system itself. So introducing structural changes to visa policy, to fiscal policy, to education, talent development, tech transfer, all of these things. But that takes time. And in fact, the biggest change agents are the entrepreneurs themselves. So if you have more successful companies, more successful entrepreneurs, they exit, they become angels, they plow back money and talent and knowledge into the ecosystem. So we wanted to do basically two things, is on the one hand, support ecosystem as a whole, but also work with those companies that are that have the potential to go further, to go international and become, let's say, the next generation of unicorns in the Netherlands, to help them through a critical phase of their existence, which is the scale up and the pre high growth phase. And what we do basically is bring them together, have a lot of peer-to-peer learning, and connect them with some of the, say, iconic founders of companies in the Netherlands, like Adyen and Elasticsearch or Bank, other companies like Takeaway, and that's really the value. So it's experienced entrepreneurs sharing their insights on a number of topics like hiring for growth, or building your organization for growth, attracting capital in your funding strategy, all these kind of things.
The next generation of unicorns, I like that.
Speaking,
you better start running.
Speaking generally, what do you think of the innovation climate in the Netherlands? Is it all right, or does it leave something to be desired?
So there's a lot of invention. I think the Netherlands loves invention, loves always asking the why question. So we challenge authority, we challenge the status quo, which is very good for innovation, because you always want to do something better, newer, faster. What we're not as good at is actually to grow it into big companies. So we have a very relatively high volume of startups, and we have a relatively low conversion rate to scale-ups, and that depends a bit by sector. For instance, I think in fintech it will be about 25%, but on the whole it's around 15%. So many of our startups don't make it to scale up, and that's bad. So and another bad or relatively bad statistic is how much of our intellectual property, especially from university, actually gets transformed into scalable businesses.
As it's difficult apparently to scale up, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs who really want to take that next step?
Well, it depends obviously in which phase they are, and depends in which sector they are. If you are in robotics, or you're in chemistry, or in these very capital intense industries that maybe are less scalable or have very low margins, it's going to be much more difficult than if you are a SaaS company or you're a fintech. So it really depends. But I think if you start and you want to play this game, you'll have to have an international outlook from the start, and you'll have to have a plan as well. I think it's absolutely critical that you have a very aggressive hiring policy. So you also you actually try to hire people that are maybe better than you and further than you in the industry, in the markets that you want to be active in. So don't hold back on that, and be generous in sharing your success, and also your options, your shareholdings with your staff, so that they can actually grow with you, and think about your investment strategy from day one. We see a lot of companies that get tied up with very complex cap tables that stop them from growing fast, or stop them from attracting really interesting top-tier investors from, for instance, the US. And that's sad, because these businesses have the potential, but they just don't go there because the cap table is too complicated.
So one thing that strikes me when I look at companies that do scale up, like Mendix, Hippo, Elastic, they go away. They at least open an office in the United States. What do you make of that? Is that a bad sign?
It's a great sign. I mean, they don't go away. Mendix is still here. Adyen is still here. Elastic is still here. They all have offices there, and that's a testimony of their ambition, and they are wise, because the market in the US 300 million plus, and it's only 17 million here. And Europe might be a 400 million plus market, but it's not integrated. So no, I think it's great. Companies should internationalize if you're in a small market like the Netherlands, and should plan that early. So yeah, I think if you would be Mendex and you would still only be in the Netherlands, then then probably it wouldn't have been in the space where it is now. And same goes for Elastic and Adyen.
Okay. Now, the Netherlands is known for biotech and chip technology and such. How would you rate the status of the fintech sector here?
Yeah, the Netherlands is good. Like in fintech, is good in a lot of things, but maybe not that deep, except for maybe biotech indeed. Well, fintech has some outstanding. We have some outstanding companies, obviously in payments. Payments has been a strength in the Netherlands, and but also in other domains. And I think we are an above average fintech ecosystem. With quite a lot of attraction also on companies coming from the UK after Brexit. Not the big banks, because we don't have the kind of bonus structures that really are competitive with those organizations. So they tend to go to Dublin or to Frankfurt. But on the whole, I think we have a good fintech climate.
And what do Dutch companies need to become top-notch? Yeah,
of course. You want to do something which is unique at a global scale. And I was very impressed by the ambition of the people at Adyen, that they, from the start, it was always an English-speaking company that always focused on getting the best and the biggest clients, and really were very aggressive in their international scope and wanting to be the best and wanting to be a global company from the start. So I think that's necessary, given we are a small market. I do think there are some challenges in the Netherlands. Some of our regulations are pretty tight, sometimes even tighter than necessary in Europe. Which makes it quite hard. Obviously, if you are compliant in the Netherlands, then you're likely to be compliant all over the world. But that then might be an example. But I hear of quite a number of fintechs that have experienced difficulties in the regulatory environment here.
So that's actually too harsh, you say?
Well, I wouldn't say too harsh, because harsh can be good, but it should also be effective. And I think there's a big benefit in being able to communicate and to negotiate with regulators, because a lot of the services that are developed by fintechs and especially in the crypto domain are new. So the risks are much more difficult to assess, but also the benefits. And I think there has to be a balance between, on the one hand, innovation, and the other, protection and regulation. And it's not always easy to find that balance, but and that's actually nearly political, right? I mean, you've seen that in Switzerland and some other places where the balance was more towards innovation and more towards new businesses, whereas with us, it seems to be more about protecting the existing.
And Constantin, you just mentioned banks, banks moving to Dublin and to Frankfurt. You also mentioned crypto just now. What do you think about decentralized finance?
Well, it's very interesting. I must say I don't understand it fully, but I think it's anything that gives more autonomy to people is an interesting concept. And if you can do that in a way that the system stays relatively stable, we tend to always see what's wrong with the current system and overemphasize that and maybe not acknowledge that it actually has delivered quite a lot of stability and global finance. So really interesting to see how decentralized finance develops and combines this increased autonomy with also a degree of flexibility that markets need or want to support investment and planning and all that.
So you're obviously aware of crypto. You mentioned it before we did. Do you own any crypto yourself?
I've been on points of owning crypto many times, and somehow also I haven't done it yet. No, and I'm very sorry I didn't. My kids think I'm a stupid idiot that I didn't get in early. Somehow,
so
no.
they do own crypto, right?
No, I don't think so. Actually,
Well,
for me, actually, it is some of the hassle with wallets and security, and then you hear people that then have it stored on a hardware and then gets lost, and then they don't get access anymore. So all this kind of organizational things. And for me, investing is not my hobby, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the stuff around it. So I kind of minimize that. And then, some of this, it requires learning to know what you're doing. It's a fast-moving market. It's developing really quickly. Requires quite deep understanding to do it well. And I've just not found the time to really read up to a degree where I feel that I can actually intelligently invest in this, except for just buying Bitcoin. But that's not really. I haven't gone up to that.
So you're obviously staying careful. We've talked about the national regulations in the Netherlands, your country. Do you think the European financial system is too afraid of crypto right now? Should they be more open to it?
Well, that seems like a leading question. So you tell me, what do you think?
I think they should, but I'd like to know about your view.
Well, as I said, I'm not deep enough into that. There's always a balance of the risk when you do something new, and policymakers typically will be relatively risk averse and want to protect the consumer. So if they can't fully oversee the risk, and if and the upside is not 100% clear, at least not to government authorities, then it's quite likely that they will be pretty risk averse. So I assume that if you are in the business and you want to grow a crypto business, then you'll find the regulations in Europe far too restrictive. But there are other interests. So I think, and this is just kind of a good lobby advice, I think if you want to start conversations with regulators, then you have to always understand what their concerns is and actually deal with them first and understand. And I think just in the beginning, I followed a bit your conversation on Libra as well. You want to know when you enter this space what you are disrupting and which interests you are disrupting, because you'll have to offer something in return for a policymaker or a politician to be able to tell to their electorates that what they're doing is not only innovative but is also safe.
Constantijn, you just mentioned as well that investing, especially in cryptocurrencies, it takes some knowledge about the industry. You have to know what you're doing. On the other hand, you see companies, of course, launching products where algorithms are trading for you or investing for you. So it basically closes the gap between knowledge and maybe investing or trading. More and more of those developments are currently happening. What do you think about the fact that people, citizens, can make use of these type of algorithms to use for investments?
So basically, you ask me if I like bots, right?
Well, if you like to frame it like that. Well, of course, bots is one of the companies that does use algorithms for trading and makes it open for the public to help the public invest very directly. What do you think of that concept in general?
Well, I think if you democratize technology, and technology that used to be the prerogative of maybe only the banks that work for people with a lot of money, and you allow that technology to also be accessed by people who have less money, and also give them the upsides, then I think that's obviously a very good thing. And as long as they also understand the risks, and I think everybody will be cheering if companies like bots will provide the kind of returns that you're currently providing, but also in other economic climates. And then if people see the benefits, that's obviously it's great.
You talk a lot about risks and the fact that people should understand what they're doing and understand the risks. How can we make sure people do? How can we educate the public in this kind of things?
No, that's your job.
That's what the TV show is for, eh? That's what we're doing right here. Well, finally, Constantijn, we have one viewer that had a very interesting question for you, which I like to ask on behalf of the viewer, and that is, what role does crypto play in the future of the Netherlands? Do you have any idea?
I think so. I was actually when a few years ago when I first kind of got introduced to the concept of blockchain. I was really enthusiastic about that, because I think it's like a logical next step of the internet, and crypto comes on top of that. So if once everything becomes digitized or virtualized, and there's the kind of old era asset underneath, then things become really digital, and then you can start scaling things in an incredible way. So I think I can't really see a future that doesn't have crypto in it, and I don't know how it will work out, but I do think there's so many benefits, and with digital opportunities just basically at the beginning still of developments. There's so much going to grow and scale still, that crypto will be a significant part of that, and blockchain too, because you want, in that digital environment, you want trust, you want to be able to authenticate things, and you do not always want an authority that is kind of either geographically based or asset based to be involved. You want to do this among users, and about big user communities and people that are anonymous. So I think those kind of technologies are going to be a really powerful element of how kind of the digital world will develop in the next 10, 20 years.
Okay, our final question. Would you care to give us your view on how high the price of Bitcoin could be by the end of this year?
It's a standard question we ask to every guest, so we have to do it.
Yeah, well, I think if we just basically look at how it's developing now, 65 would be, I think it would be reasonable.
That's a good price. That's the price. That's the last all-time high. Currently, it's back in the 40s. So very volatile, of course. Prince Constantijn van Oranje Nassau, thank you again for your time speaking to us during today's episode of Bots TV, and hopefully speak to you soon again. Wish you the best.
Yeah, we'll speak to you at your IPO.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great. So, conversation with Prins Constantijn van Oranje Nassau. And we'll now continue to bots users. Now, we talk with many guests in many different forms. Of course, we have special guests. We have bots users with, again, a new guests. But all these guests have an idea of what the Bitcoin price might be at the end of this year, December. Now, let's have a look at the graph we have of all the Bitcoin prices of the different guests, because there's a lot of variety, holy shit, variety. Right. Oh, I'm struggling with my word right there. Anyway.
Many different prices.
Yeah, many different prices. Thank you, Herbert, for helping me out right here. Now, if we take a look at the graph, we see many prices surrounding the 50K, 100K area. We don't really see the 200 or even 300Ks. And we see also estimates around 50 and maybe 20K, which is, of course, closer, Herbert, to what Prins Constantijn van Oranje Nassau just mentioned, 65K.
Yeah, well, it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
But the general expectation will be up from here, right?
Well, it goes up and down. So now we go down, and then hopefully we go up once again.
In my view, we are down right now. So there's one direction to go.
Exactly. Now, in Bots Users, we're going to talk with Yassir Ouali. Great you're here. Thank you for coming as well.
Thank you for inviting.
And you have a great friend. His name is Bas.
Absolutely. Really great friend.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about Bas, but Bas has a quote. And he has a tip, let's say, for viewers. So let's have a look what the tip of Bas is. The tip is start small and find out if the app is something for you.
Yeah.
Now, Yassir, you know Bas very well. What do you think of his tip?
Absolutely. Every tip that comes from Bas is a good tip. Let's start with that. But it's a really good tip because it really says what it used to say. like start small, and if the app is something for you, then you will find out. But always start small. Don't invest your house in the app or something.
Don't go all in.
Don't go all in. Never go all in unless you know what you're doing. So it's a really good tip for a lot of people who like new to crypto or new to the Bots app, but already were in crypto.
And do you live by this one?
I used to live by this one. I like when I started with the app, I tried to start small, like see what the app does and where it goes. But now that I know how the app works, what the bots do, what crypto is, especially, I have a little bit more risk.
Okay, how many bots do you have going?
I think 12 now.
Diversifying portfolio.
It's a pretty aggressive profile, but it's still diverse in bots creators and that kind of stuff. And I think it's important to have a pretty diverse portfolio, which in like apart bots creators, but also like various coins. I like to focus not on only one coin, but on various coins. Not only Bitcoin, which is like publicly the best known coin, but like BNB, ADA. Those were the two coins that when I started trading with bots were like my little babies. And I had always trusted on them, and now one of them is doing pretty well.
Well, you just mentioned that knowing what crypto is as well, besides, of course, investing in bots, but also know what crypto actually is very important. How did you found out about the bots app? How did you get into it?
It's a pretty funny story. We were sailing on the boat one day. It's hot summer last year. And Bas was the one who was like, look, guys, this new app. You can trade with crypto and that kind of stuff. And we with the four of us, we were on the boat. And I was like, okay, great. Let's just sail this day. And it was like till September that I actually downloaded the app and looked at the app. And it was the simplicity of the app that like amazed me. Because the time between like thinking about downloading the app and actually starting to trade with a bot was like, I think 5 minutes. So that was something that like triggered me. And September I started trading the bots till now. So that's actually how it went, like via friends.
So it's funny you mentioned trading, because actually the bots trade for you.
For you, yeah.
Or do you consider changing from one bot to another trading?
I think in this term, trading is kind of a bit relative, because
meta trading.
Yeah, what does trading mean if you talk about bots? You have the big friendly bot, which is not really a bot which is trading for you, but just buys Bitcoin for you
and holds it.
And holds it. So then you can talk about trading, not really hardcore, but you're still trading in a bit. But most of the bots are actually doing the work for you. So you're not really trading, but it gives you the feeling that you're trading, and that's something I feel the bots gives me.
And you just mentioned you have a little bit of a risky profile. What kind of investor are you? Right.
That's a really good question. I think I'm an investor who likes to take risks, but I like to take like a calculated risk. So I start a bot with like small amount of money, and I've done my homework on the coin that the bot is trading in. So I followed, let's say, BNB for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then I start trading with a bot that's specialized in BNB. So, but like I like to go like all out on a bot when it starts trading.
So that's important. You do your homework before.
Do your homework. Yeah, that's a really good one.
And how do you do that? Just following the price movements of a particular coin, or what?
Well, there are pretty many ways to do your homework. Bots makes it a lot of easier for you to do your homework, because you can just read the description at first sight. Like I did, I just started looking at the risk, at the level risks. So one was 12 out of 12, one was 4 out of 12. Yeah. Like you can do that kind of homework, but you can also like download Binance, like I did a few months ago, and started following a coin really up to 15 minutes every day, and see what the bots do. Watching these shows is a form of doing your homework. So I think there are a lot of ways you can do your homework. It's just the fact that you are doing something about learning crypto is already enough for me.
And do you change bots often?
I did.
From one to another?
Well, we have a saying that we never quit a bot. We never stop a bot because we always trust the bot. I did in my first week, and I regret it now.
You traded. You went in, out.
I saw the leak, and I saw Joe Daredevil standing right there, and I was like, "Oh, I hate you in the beginning, and now you're gone." you know. So no, I did in the beginning a lot. I changed a lot. Like I gave them maybe a week to perform, and if they didn't perform, I would be like really like out, new one, you know. And now I trust the bot way more because I know how it works.
But how do you decide what bots to choose for yourself? Like, of course, there's certain projects that you check up on, like Cardano, ADA, or BNB, Binance Coin. But how do you choose?
I think it's a combination of which kind of coins I want to invest in and who the bot creator is. I love bots made by Boosting Alpha because I think they give a really fast return on your investment, and I don't lose that often. But the last couple of weeks, I've always been looking to AGA, so it's also bot creators, coins, and I try to. It sounds really stupid, but in the first couple of months, I just like looked for the funniest names of the bots. Like all these bots have really funny names, and I was like, okay, I like that name. I'm gonna take that one. I pick you. Yeah.
So we're living in a bull market right now, but the last couple of days, the market is a bit more bearish. Have you been looking at your bots lately? What has been happening?
Absolutely. I went to bed yesterday and I looked at the big friendly and I saw it going a little bit down and I was like, no problem. It's going to be all right tomorrow. And I woke up tomorrow and I was like, no.
But that's the least interesting one. What happened to the other bots that trade in
Well, that's
altcoins?
pretty funny because all the other bots in my portfolio are all in the green. It's only the big friendly who lost, and it's the only bot which not really is a bot who is like actually trading. So all the other bots are still in the positive numbers, and I think that's really
it's impressive.
It's impressive to not lose, and we just heard about outperforming the market. So I think this is it. Yeah.
Well, we just had a tip from Bas. Now, finally, do you have a tip for our viewers?
Absolutely. I think it's really simple to just download the app and start trading. But I think where the real magic happens is before. So like do your homework, learn about crypto, watch these shows, read about it. So when you start trading with especially bots, you know what's going on. Like bots does take you by your hand and shows you the world of crypto. So you don't have to be worried if you don't know anything about bots or crypto, but it gives you such an advantage if you just read about it, know about it, and then I think you're already like 104.
It's a famous saying, do your own research. Dior, Yassir, thank you for joining us in today's show.
Thank you very much.
I think it's very useful for people that are new or already existent users of the bots app to have you here. So once again, thank you. And it's your birthday. So
Absolutely.
Congratulations. And we are a little bit over time already, but we have a little present for you as well.
Thank you.
Limited edition. You can open it if you want.
Right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
It's a one out of a few.
Okay. Look.
Hopefully you're going to use it a lot of times.
It's really cool. Thank you guys.
Even we don't have these. Bots glass. It has the logo of the
I don't know
Bots
if you can
League
see it right there. You can see it. Yeah.
Even our glasses don't have the logo. So
really appreciate it. I'm gonna use it tonight.
Hey, happy birthday and may the games be with you.
Thank you.
Okay, next week. What's going to happen next week? Of course, we have different guests again. But next week, we have also the finals of the Bots League. We're going to start next week with the Bots News. Then we have an interview with the third place. And of course, later in the show with the second and the first place. But we also have two different guests. We first have Liam Robertson and then Tim Coronel. Yes, one of the racing fanatics in the Netherlands will join us in the show to talk about cryptocurrencies, the financial markets, and a lot more. Herbert, this was today's show.
Yes.
Anything you're going to take away from it?
Yeah, well, the interesting story of our Prince Constantijn about the regulation in the European and Netherlands financial markets was very, very interesting. And I did like your story very much about using bots and managing your own risks there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you.
Yeah, so Herbert, thank you for being here once again.
Been a pleasure.
Yassir, thank you again as well. And thank you for watching to today's episode of Bots TV. Next week, so not in 2 weeks, but next week, we are back with another episode. Same time, same place. And it's going to be an interesting one with the finals of the Bots League. See you next week.